Have you checked out Elmhurst Public Library lately? Prepare to be amazed. The new Makery, located in the library's renovated basement, provides a hands-on creative space for patrons to invent, collaborate, and design as they transform their ideas into reality. From laser cutters to embroidery machines, the Makery has something sure to pique everyone's interest. This open, flexible work area creates an environment to create, connect, and explore. EPL cardholders, District 205 teachers and students, Elmhurst College students, work perks, and business cardholders are welcome to use the space. For more information, go to elmlib.org/makery. Let's make things happen.
Welcome to Elmhurst, our kind of town, and the 2018 Memorial Day Parade in Elmhurst. I'm Ken Bartels from the Community Bank of Elmhurst, along with my partner Tony Cazzone from the City of Elmhurst. And Memorial Day and its theme of Always Remember is always very special in this town. But this year it's also historic. This is the 100th Memorial Day Parade in Elmhurst, Illinois. And Tony, what does 100 years of anything mean to a community like Elmhurst?
A long time, Ken. I'll tell you, 100 years, a century. Can you imagine that? For our community, 100 years means 100 years of churches, societies, organizations, businesses, dealerships that have come, and many have stayed, and others have gone on to other things. But most importantly, we celebrated our sesquicentennial in Elmhurst sometime back in 1985, 86, I think it was. But again, most importantly is 100 years of us celebrating the Elmhurst Memorial Day Parade, where we all come together as a community and we actually honor and remember those who have given their lives for us so that we can enjoy the freedom that we have in our beautiful nation, the United States of America. And for this time, 100 years means our 100th year anniversary and Memorial Day Parade, where we have a couple of surprises coming up. Abraham Lincoln is going to be here to visit us, our past president, and to celebrate 100 years, we have the Lima flight team that will be here making several passes. So it's a great time. We have unprecedented weather. We have a record-breaking 96 degrees today, and we hope to have a really great time.
Thank you, Tony. We're here. We're in the Veterans Memorial where the Veterans Ceremony will take place after the parade. But for right now, enjoy the parade, the 100th Memorial Day Parade in Elmhurst, our kind of town. We are here in Wilder Park for the 100th Memorial Day Parade in Elmhurst, and the parade is just now coming into view. In recognition of its 100th anniversary itself, the York High School's 100th anniversary, the York Dukes are leading the parade this year, which is quite an honor. And then, of course, immediately following them is the presentation banner, which is carried by the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry, also celebrating 100 years. Tony?
Yes, Ken, I'm happy to be here again this morning. Along with the York Community High School band is the high school newly formed Alumni Association. And we want to remind everyone that there is a big celebration at the high school, their 100th, their centennial celebration coming up September 27th to the 30th later this year. The York High School Band, here they are. How fitting, what a wonderful song. What a way to start off our parade. Very patriotic. Love it. Coming into our picture now is, as I mentioned, the York Alumni Association, who will be having a special presentation celebrating 100 years of York High School later in September 20th to the 30th. They have an entourage of vehicles with them. What a great honor, what a great celebration. 100 years, York High School.
Class 75.
And of course, everyone remembers the legendary Joe Newton, Coach Joe Newton. Very historical. He made his history here in Elmhurst, no doubt. Carrying our banner now, the 100th annual Memorial Day Parade is the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry, also celebrating their 100th year celebration. And there right behind the banner is my partner, Ken Bartels, and John Quigley, President and CEO of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Ken is also the chairman. The Longfellow right behind them from the Independent. Now coming up is the Elmhurst Police and Fire Color Guard, followed by the Elmhurst Police Chief, Michael Ruth.
Well, Tony, we've got a great parade. There's great attendance. It's already a very warm day. It could be a historically hot day, as you mentioned in the open.
Yes.
But here in Elmhurst, we take our Memorial Days very seriously. And we're joined by John Quigley, President and CEO of the Chamber, who, along with Ralph Paccianio, are the co-chairs of the Memorial Day Parade. And John, welcome.
Well,
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for having me out.
good to have you here, John.
Oh, always a pleasure.
On this beautiful, hot summer day.
Yes, it's a nice summer day. It's a beautiful Memorial Day in Elmhurst.
What an honor, 100 years for the Chamber.
Well, it's 100 years for a group of things. So we've got the Memorial Day Parade at 100 years, the Chamber of Commerce at 100 years, and you've got York Community High School at 100 years. That's, we joke around that if you're 50 years old in Elmhurst, you're just starting to lay some roots in the community.
Yeah, there you go.
And it isn't until you hit the 100 that you've really established yourself.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great touch that Ralph and I were able to move the York Marching Dukes to the start of the parade, the newly formed York High School Alumni Association to march right behind them, a different way than the typical police, fire, color guard that we usually start our parade off with.
That was a really nice touch. And the music that the band was playing was very patriotic. It was a very nice start to our celebration.
Yes, we've got a lot going on in this parade. We tried to make it as special as we can for our 100th, so we recognized York participating in their 100th. We'll have a flyby by the Lima Lima team coming up pretty soon.
They're due in very shortly.
Yeah, they're getting clearance from O'Hare as we speak.
They're airborne.
They're airborne.
Yes.
So that'll be a nice thrill for everybody. As part of the parade, we'll have President Abraham Lincoln not only marching in our parade, but speaking at the post-parade military ceremony. And then, of course, we've had True Patriots Care out here for the entire weekend, putting up 1,600 flags of missing in action and POWs that haven't been found from the Vietnam War. And those flags are all throughout the Wilder Park, and they've been here since Thursday, lit throughout the night. They'll be here through Tuesday. It's really a sight to see.
That is. It's very warm and very heartening to see that.
And Lima Lima just came overhead.
There goes our Flyboys.
And in addition, we just found out, or Jerry Christofferson, the president of True Patriots Care, just found out that they have identified 2 of the flag bearers out in our field, and we will officially take those flags out of the field and retire them as part of the post-parade ceremony. That's something we've done additionally. So,
how fitting.
Over the years, as remains get identified, that group of 1,600 flags hopefully will get whittled down to 0.
Those were the 2 gentlemen from the Pearl Harbor.
Correct.
That they just identified. Yes. Yep. Yes, I literally read about that this morning in the newspapers. Lima Lima continues to fly over. We have our Elmhurst city officials coming into view here in the parade route for the Memorial Day Parade.
And I'll thank you, gentlemen, for doing the TV coverage of this on Elmhurst, our kind of town. The crew's great. You guys are great. I'll go, and this way you can talk to the mayor when he comes around.
We're happy to be here.
Thanks,
okay,
guys.
John.
Happy Memorial Day, everybody.
Thank you, John.
Great job, John. Thank you.
Good job.
City officials, we've had 4 aldermen go by. We've got a few more aldermen coming. The mayor's at the reviewing stand, coming on down. Mayor Steve Morley.
Alderman Scott Levin right next to him.
And a very familiar sight, Tony, now in town. We have the Elmhurst trolley.
Yes.
Elmhurst trolleys are red this year. People have gotten used to the yellow version, but instead of the yellow ones, we have red trolleys this year, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Red's a great color for Memorial Day.
Mix it up a little bit.
We're joined by Alderman and former Mayor Scott Levin. He's joining us.
Good morning, Alderman. Good to see you.
You too.
Thank you.
It'll slow down in the parade, but I think it's going to pick up right about now.
Oh yeah, it's moving along just fine.
And I got to give kudos to the mayor, the only guy in a suit in the whole parade.
He did loosen. He had loosened his tie, though. I saw it.
He loosened his tie, and
I
he
saw
only
it.
passed out once, so it wasn't too bad.
Only once.
Yeah.
Historic fire engine going by as we start the parade of civic vehicles, emergency vehicles, fire, police from not only Elmhurst but other communities as well.
Yeah, we always point out, Ken and Scott, to our listeners and those that are watching us on TV, that our parade, even though we have all these emergency responders and fire department, police, and everyone, we do not sound the sirens or the bells, and there's a purpose behind that. We purposely do that because we're showing our respect and we're honoring those that gave their sacrifice for us so that we enjoy the freedom that we have here, not only in Elmhurst, but in the United States of America.
I think sometimes people forget the solemn nature of the parade and the true purpose of the people who have been fallen since the Civil War and beyond.
Absolutely. We always say Memorial Day is the unofficial start of summer and barbecues and whatnot, but it's always nice to take a look. The TV networks and the cable networks always put on the older movies, World War II and Korean War movies, and it's nice to watch that. But it's also nice to sit back and just take a minute and remember those from our military.
Well, Scott, John Quigley was just here with us a few moments ago, and he was mentioning the True Patriots Care display in the park of now 1,600 flags.
Amazing.
I went by it last night, and it's just incredibly impressive and moving sight in the twilight.
Well, I'll tell you, I started going to the post-parade service probably about 10 years ago, and it's probably one of the best services you could ever attend in terms of the formality, the dedication, and explaining to people what it's all about and saying thanks. So this year, of course, I didn't wear a suit because it's the rule of 180. If the humidity and the temperature are more than 180, you don't have to wear one. So.
There you go.
There you go.
We're seeing our Elmhurst Fire Department going by. We saw Engine 1. We're seeing Truck 2 go by right now. And, of course, we saw our Chief, Tom Freeman.
And as I said before, other communities besides Elmhurst, we've got a Villa Park Engine 81 coming into the fold, and other communities as well scheduled to be here are the York Center Fire Protection District, Oak Brook Terrace, Oak Brook. So we welcome our neighbors to this historic Elmhurst parade.
Absolutely. We want to welcome also their chiefs. Chief Gregory Sebestia from the Oak Brook Terrace, Chief Barry Liss from Oak Brook Fire Department, and Chief Ron Rakosnik, who is very dear to us, the Villa Park Fire Department, and the York Center Fire Protection District Chief Andrew Bonomo.
I take it we're the only parade in the neighborhood these years?
There are other parades. As we understand it, some of them are either getting late starts or have been canceled because of the record heat today. But no way in the world we were canceling number 100 here in Elmhurst.
Right, absolutely.
I'm sure you already discussed how many hundreds we have going on here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We talked about that a little bit.
Must have been a lot going on in 1918 in Elmhurst.
How about that? Can you imagine? What's really neat is if you look up our museum, Elmhurst Historical Museum, and some of the pictures that they have there from years ago.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. It reminds me a little bit of that movie, Back to the Future.
That seems like a long time ago already.
It almost does sometimes. And there goes our flyboys again.
That's because it is.
If you notice, Ken, they're coming down a little lower each time. I think they're getting used to our airspace around here.
I think they're looking for a landing area. I'm not sure.
Well, 1918 in Elmhurst, the average new home in 1918 cost $4,800 for a brand new house in Elmhurst.
Wow.
So, and $700 bought you a brand new car. So
that sounds like it was a Sears kit, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Operation Inherent Resolve, Iraq sign. Cub Scout Pack 14 was just going by us.
We've got the Wheaton ROTC Color Guard coming into view here shortly. They are in place, marching in place in front of the reviewing stand. The reviewing stand this year is a little bit different. We're not on the Park District portable vehicle this year. We've got ourselves a covered reviewing stand. Looks very nice here on Prospect Avenue. We are just west of the Veterans Memorial, which is always the center of attention on this day.
The Wheaton College Army ROTC Color Guard going past us right now.
And this is true Patriots care, as we described earlier. In the central portion of Wilder Park currently are 1,600 full-scale American flags depicting POWs and individuals from the Vietnam era.
All put up by volunteers, police and fire, or others, public works? Or?
Correct.
Yes, absolutely. The Antioch Brass Quintet.
Have they been in the parade for all 100 years? Or does it just seem like it?
It just seems like it. They were at our sesquicentennial,
All right.
if I remember right.
We'd have to search hard to find anybody who remembers a parade without them. I'm confident
That's
of
probably
that.
true.
Next unit here, Ken, is our military officers. Convertibles are provided by members of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry, including Larry Roche, Chrysler Jeep Dodge.
Lieutenant Birch there in the Jeep told me he was planning on losing 10 pounds in his wool suit today.
He
before
might.
the parade. He might.
I suspect that's true. The military officers in their vehicles, they go by the reviewing stand, and then after they're past the reviewing stand, they depart and they join the dignitaries in the tent. So from the U.S. Army, in addition to Lieutenant John Birch from World War II, we have Colonel Robert F. Brocky, Lieutenant Colonel Martin Jensen, and First Captain Lori Tompos and Captain Stephen Tompos. Then from the U.S. Air Force, we have Brigadier General John Wendell, who has also been with us here for many, many, many years.
Yes, he's a great guy.
Actually, a lot of these representative veterans have been in multiple parades.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, quite a few from Elmhurst.
Yeah.
U.S. Navy Commander David A. Fry. Commander Fry there in your picture.
We let our vets steal on Memorial Day, don't we?
Well, I don't know if taking a free program classifies, but I think that's probably
not
fine.
mine, right.
What I was trying to tell him is that the dignitaries already have programs, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, it's good to have an extra.
U.S. Marine
Take it
Corps,
home.
Major Edward H. Walker IV, PFC Jack Mallon.
Glad to see we have the Coast Guard represented today.
Yeah, the Coast Guard representative is Lieutenant Commander Lincoln Puffer and Master Chief Alan Haraff. And those will be the military men and women who will be at the reviewing stand reviewing the remainder of the parade here in Wilder Park. The momentary stoppage is to let the military officers get out of their cars so they can make their way to the reviewing stand.
We're watching the flight overhead of a crisscross of the single planes. Is that a special? I know they sometimes do the missing man formation. Is there something special about that one?
That might have been one of the patterns they were flying, where they actually create a heart, and in doing so, when they come from the top part of the heart coming down to the bottom, They actually crisscross each other.
See, with the wind today, I think it's a broken heart. It's a little sad.
Yeah,
But
yeah, maybe. We'll have to see about going up there, see if we have
little later.
any glue or something. Elmer's glue.
We'll bring the chopper over after the parade.
That's
We'll
it.
get up
That's what we need. We need a Huey.
American Legion, THB Post 187, and Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 2801 with their combined color guard.
We want to mention in this unit, the American THB, is Commander John A. Scudder, Senior Vice Commander Russ C. Strahan, and they have post members and the Auxiliary President, Peggy Crack. They have auxiliary members.
I think I had a Mustang up that year. I know why they're keeping the hood open.
Yes.
A day like today.
Absolutely. What do you think, Scott? Maybe a 64, 65, maybe?
It's definitely, it could be 60, 65 to 68. It's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
That looks like the earlier one.
This is the Chicago Wind Ensemble.
Another group that's been here for many, many years.
Absolutely.
Yes.
One of Elmhurst's own is our Grand Marshal, Colonel Mark R. Mallon of the United States Army Reserves, and he is joined by Colonel Stephen Braverman, MD, who is the director of the Hines VA Hospital. We are delighted to have both of these gentlemen here. Mark, among all his outstanding military distinctions, also was the chair of last year's second annual military ball at the Legion, and the third annual military ball he's chairing again. That will be on November 3rd later this year at the American Legion. It's quite an event. If you haven't been, you should come.
And Ken, right behind him, one of my favorite groups, the Patton Academy, Farragut Career Academy, JROTC, Drum and Drill and Drums team. Let's listen to that cadence as they come by.
This is a large unit, too.
Yeah. Next is the U.S. Naval Sea Cadet Corps Color Guard, John F. Kennedy Division. As we just saw Lima Lima fly over again with their smoke on, their lights on. What a great tribute today on a beautiful day for the 100th Elmhurst Memorial Day Parade.
Going back to Colonel Mallon just for a moment, multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. He's a psychological operations officer, Bronze Star Medal recipient, and was the deputy commander of the Combined Joint Psychological Operations Task Force in Afghanistan. Quite a career for such a young guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on top of all that, he's a pretty nice guy.
Yep, he is that too.
We're watching the Northern Illinois chapter of Military Vehicle Preservation Association. It's one of my favorite groups. This is a group dedicated to the restoration and the preservation and education of historic military transportation. They have vehicles from World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the present day. We're happy that they're here with us today.
I think you need a big driveway to own one of those, don't you?
How about it, huh?
I think it looks like a conditional use permit to me.
I think so.
Conditional use, yeah.
The Iraq War sign, proudly displayed by Cub Pack number 25.
And whenever you see these statistics on the number of wounded, deaths, it really drives home what the sacrifices have been in these various wars over the years that we're remembering today, or the deceased of whom we're remembering today.
There's no question about it, Scott. It's a number that we probably don't hear enough. Carver Military Academy Drill Team and Drum Corps. They've been in the parade multiple years as well. We're very glad to have them.
Cover!
You know, Scott, you were mentioning, when you think about those that have lost their lives for us, it's very moving to see some of the veterans today, who lost a limb, who has had, tragedies in their lives, and they're trying to get back, trying to get jobs and things like that, and these are people that we need to remember, that we need to do things for.
It's, my years, I was not in the service, but I was around in the Vietnam War years, and everyone knows what the returning vets got then, and I was pleased to see that as the vets walk this parade, they're getting standing ovations, and people are coming up and shaking their hands. There was a guy in the vet in the trolley behind us, a guy named David, I can't remember his last name, but he was walking on a cane, and he said, I'm going to walk with you guys, and, it really drove home the point of what this parade's all about. And he was very pleased, for the reception he got, and didn't want to get back on the trolley. He was happy to be out there walking with us and, getting the thanks of the people.
Yeah, those are stories that we need to hear. We need to hear more of those too.
Well, and there has been a tremendous change in public attitude about veterans of all eras, and I think a sincere apologetic tone for how the veterans were not embraced from the Vietnam era.
Right.
Ken, that was that blast that we just heard was from the 2nd Kentucky Cavalry Company D, and this is the Civil War reenactors. Look at this picture. Isn't that moving?
So these aren't the actual soldiers, is that what you're telling me?
No, those are not. That's
all
a
right,
reenactment.
I see.
But isn't that moving the way our reviewing stand officers are saluting them?
Absolutely.
And the reenactors are saluting them back. That's very moving. Happy to see that. I had a chance to talk with one of them earlier today before the parade. I gave him my congratulatory thanks for being here and wearing those wool uniforms
Yes.
like that.
Is this part of the same unit?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
This is still part of the reenactors. It's interesting, too, to think, you read back on some of the Civil War battles and a Revolutionary War as well. The area residents of the time would would get on the hills surrounding the battle and watch the battle.
Is that right?
It's kind of amazing, but obviously it didn't happen with all of them, but it happened with some of them.
It's probably because they didn't have TV back then. There was nothing to watch. I don't know.
Maybe.
USO of Illinois joining us today. Very glad to have them and all of the wonderful things that they do for current servicemen and veterans when they're traveling, as well as when they're between deployments and other kinds of services. Probably most familiar with the USO when you take an airline trip and you see the signs at the airports for the special lounges that are set up for veterans.
Right.
Great job.
Here comes another Civil War reenactors unit, the 46th Illinois Voluntary Infantry.
I was ready for that one.
Yeah, and they sounded off
I wasn't ready for the
volley.
first one, but I was ready for that one. Well, you know, wool's what they had back then. Polyester, I don't think, came around for a little while.
That's right.
So.
That guy looks familiar behind him.
How about that?
Yeah.
Here's who we mentioned in our open, Ken, one of our special guests, past President Abraham Lincoln.
He's looking good.
And he's portrayed by Kevin J. Wood.
And I've met Mr. Wood on several occasions, and you cannot get him out of character.
I've met him too.
He does.
You cannot get him out of character. He's going to be part of the Veterans Memorial Service after the parade as well. So the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation supporting the History Museum at Churchville Schoolhouse, and riding on the float, they recently had their Ruth Strand Memorial Poster Contest. The first place winner is Danella Manuli at Hawthorne School. Second place was Gabby Cantrell from IC Grade School, and Gavin Stutz from Field School, and Lucy Beal at Hawthorne. They tied for third, so they get to ride in the parade. There's some honorable mentions that were in the parade. There's a little bit of a gap, so we can get them too. Adriana Hackenbach from Fisher School, Claire O'Shaughnessy from Visitation, Hannah George from Lincoln, John Tevens from Emerson, Julia Sizik from Jackson, Katie Knabel from IC Grade School, Olivia Oddville from Edison, Renata Torres from Field, Samantha Drolette from Jefferson, and Sophie Hummel from Hawthorne, all winners in the recent poster contest.
That's a great group.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Coming in our picture right now, Ken and Scott, is our wonderful Elmhurst Park District.
They look like they're in great shape, so
yeah. That's what Quartz Plus does for you, I guess.
They came right from Quartz Plus to the parade this morning. It's really a remarkable thing.
You saw them there this morning, huh, Ken?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was in the parking lot drinking coffee. That's right. Exactly right.
They're a co-sponsor of this event, aren't they, the Park District? Or they just give us some land to use?
Well, land is good.
Land is good.
It's the Chamber and the Legion and the VFW and the city and the Elmhurst Park District.
Where they all come together. And, of course, the Park District prepares everything for us here. They groom the area and work with us very closely. And we appreciate that. Coming into our picture very shortly is going to be the Elmhurst Knights of Columbus Color Guard. This is the Father McDonald Council 1911 Club. This is the 4th degree with the capes and chapeaus and swords. There's 4 degrees in the Knights of Columbus, and this is the 4th degree, or the patriotic degree. With them, they have some state officers, Frank Schwartz, the state secretary, and John Dem, the state membership director. And the Knights of Columbus are also celebrating their 100 years.
Another one. Didn't know that one.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that one either.
There you see Terry Walden, and we saw some Tony Castellano and others in the group. You also, there's Kevin O'Reilly, the Grand Knight in the white shirt. And you also know the Knights of Columbus for doing their Tootsie Roll days, where they help the disabled.
They often, let people use their facilities around the hall for various public functions.
Good point.
It's true.
Yes.
Now, and this 100th thing doesn't really ever stop either, because next year the Legion is 100 years old.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
That'll be a big military ball, I'm betting.
I'm betting. We are starting to hear the very large combined Elmhurst District 205 Middle School's marching band. Here they come, all in red.
Gentlemen, I bid you adieu.
Okay. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. And with that appropriate intro, we have the mayor of Elmhurst, Steve Morley, has joined us.
It's almost like you set it up,
Good morning,
gentlemen.
Mayor.
Good to see you.
I think you planned it that way, and it was very fitting.
It's a beautiful day.
Yes, it is. We're happy to have you here with us today, too.
This is one of my favorite days. It's so important that we honor those who sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice so that we can literally be sitting here today. It's almost bittersweet for me. It's certainly a somber occasion. I think we have to pay a certain appropriate tribute to those who did pass and give us the freedoms that we enjoy today.
Absolutely. We've been talking about that. This is how we celebrate and honor those, like you say, that have given the ultimate sacrifice, and we enjoy the freedom we have today, which is really important. We need to respect those, even those that are still with us. They may have lost a limb, they may have had health problems now, and they're trying to get back to our society and life. And so we need to congratulate them and thank them.
We're watching the Elmhurst Girl Scout Service Unit. They carried the war in Afghanistan and war and terrorism signs just a few moments ago. This is a really large contingent of Girl Scouts in this service unit in Elmhurst.
They seem to be enjoying themselves.
They do. They're like dressed appropriately.
No, I love all the stars and stripes.
No ties and dark suits, that kind of thing.
You got to do what you got to do. I was talking to my wife this morning, and she said, I think folks will give you a pass if you don't wear what I call my mayor costume.
I absolutely think they would have, Steve.
You know what I told her? I said, I know there's going to be a World War II vet in his greens that probably weighs 10 pounds on the hanger.
Sure.
And sure enough, as soon as I got to the head of City Hall, I met a World War II veteran. His name's escaping me right now. He's in a Jeep with his son, and he is 97 years old, and he's in full uniform.
Oh, my goodness.
And if that gentleman can wear a full uniform, the least I can do is put on a coat and tie.
That was Lieutenant Birch, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, Lieutenant Birch. Oh, what an amazing man.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, image is everything.
Well, I tell you what, I grew up, I was really young when the Vietnam War was happening. And, there was a little bit of a change. There's been a change in this country in the last 40 years. When I was growing up, my personal belief is that the military, the veterans, and everybody involved did not get the proper respect that they were afforded or should have been afforded. And I was talking about that this weekend, happened to be working with a gentleman in Florida, explaining how I have seen quite a change in the last 50 years on how the United States and its citizens treat its veterans, and it's for the better. It really is for the better.
Absolutely. We were watching the group go by War in Afghanistan and War on Terrorism signs, Girl Scouts, Elmhurst Service Unit, and the AAUW, American Association of University Women, who actually Jeannie Urich is part of, our former producer.
Yeah, she produced about 25 or 30 years of this parade, and she's supposed to be out there somewhere, but I think I
saw her. I think I saw her. I mean, actually, but I think I saw her sitting on the side enjoying herself. If she's working, I apologize.
Yeah.
I think she's in this car coming up.
Oh.
We'll hope so.
This is my old neighbor, Sue Osterman, who's waving at us right now.
There you go.
The AAUW book sale, annual book sale, will be August 2 through 5.
They're coming to give us some information.
2nd through the 5th at
Thank you very much.
At Lincoln School. It's an annual project by which they raise money. There's Jeannie in the car.
There's Jeannie.
Right.
There she is.
And you know the camera crew is not going to miss this one.
Absolutely.
Reports of her demise were greatly exaggerated.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, the
She's
Elmhurst.
in front of the camera for the first time.
Yeah,
right?
how about that? Normally she's behind her producing everything.
Here's Betty's Beauty Bar. I believe this is their first parade. New business in town, so I think this is their first parade. Very nice to see them be involved.
Going back to Jeannie's group there, Ken, they're celebrating 80 years from 1938 to 2018.
Jeannie's not, though.
No. Jeannie will always be young Jeannie.
Absolutely.
We love her dearly.
Bentley's Pet Stuff went by while we were giving Jeannie the business. And Wilkins Hyundai is going by as well. Brand new investment on North York Road in those dealerships. Very welcome for Elmhurst and the community. City View Community Church, they always have a nice contingent.
It's nice to have a little wind out here, to be honest with you.
It does feel good.
I think that's this lake breeze they were talking about.
Oh, that could be. They said the temperature was going to drop just a little bit. I think it did, maybe a half a degree.
Oh, I think it went down a full degree, Tony.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I think just by the way the parade was lined up, I did not get to see the Grand Marshal go through based on where I was in the parade. But is our very own Mark Malin? Is he in the tent right now? Do we know where he is?
I would believe he's he's in the tent by now.
He should
be. He went by. He was unit 21, so he's been by quite a while. I would guess he's in the parade.
Well, he's
in the tent, rather. I'm sorry.
I'm happy to say that I've been friends with him since I was a teenager. Through all of his tours in Afghanistan and Iraq, my wife and I and my kids used to send him packages, and I was honored to have him stand up in my wedding.
Oh, wow.
So it's good to see him.
That's cool.
Yeah, it really is. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah, Elmhurst is lucky to have him.
Yep. He's an amazing guy for all the things he's done, such a young man.
Yeah, I was reading his biography.
I know, you could barely fit it on the page.
Oh, isn't that the
It's
truth?
like 6 point or single spaced.
Yeah.
But that's what he's honestly, since I've known him, he's kind of like the Energizer Bunny. And he never sits still.
Uh-huh.
And fun fact, doesn't eat his vegetables either. Stays fitter than all of us.
Well, that's true. He lives across the street from me, as you know, Steve. And two things about Mark. Number one, he mows his lawn at a faster pace than anybody I've ever seen, and he also mows it in shorts into November if that's necessary.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
So
okay. We're seeing the Persian Gulf War sign carried by the Boy Scout Troop number 117 and Cub Scout Pack number 17.
I have to also say I've seen him mow his lawn at night too.
Doesn't surprise me.
Was he use a spotlight or something?
I don't know. He's probably got those special goggles.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
The fishing goggles.
You know, he was in psychological operations for a while. Maybe he's telling his neighbor something, Ken, that we don't know.
Could be. Yeah, might be.
This unit is the Goldfish Swim School in Elmhurst. Everybody having fun riding in an open-air Jeep.
Pardon my ignorance today, gentlemen. How many entries do we have?
We have 95.
And what are we at right now?
We are now at number coming up on 46.
Oh, fantastic. So just about halfway through.
Just about.
Just about.
Wow, I stepped inside to take advantage of the air conditioning in Wilder Mansion, and I thought, I hope I don't miss it.
No, the pace has been leisurely.
Yes.
Befitting the heat, I suspect.
Well, they had that
Befitting. Oh, Ken.
Word of the day for Ken.
I'm impressed.
They had that trolley chasing me the whole time.
Did they?
They made us walk kind of fast, which I didn't appreciate.
Oh, not on a day like today.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Well, you probably could have hitched a ride if you.
I could have. And truth be told, I did fall behind more than once. Joined a couple of Boy Scout troops in their march.
Seeing the YMCA go by, another organization that has been here for years and years in Elmhurst.
Now they have the Trailblazers. Is that what we used to call the Indian Guides when I was a young man? A little boy?
I think so, but I'm not going to absolutely.
Were you in the Guides, Ken?
I was not.
And Tony?
No.
No, I'm the only one, huh?
I was a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout, but
I think that is what took over for the princesses.
Hey guys, thanks a
oh,
lot.
thank you. Yeah, that's nice.
A couple of suckers from the. I already forgot the name. I was going to say Indian Guides, but I know that's wrong.
Trailblazers.
Trailblazers. Ken, could you hand me one of those programs?
Certainly. This is the Caldwell Banker coming into view. Caldwell Banker with their offices in downtown Elmhurst on Addison, right across the street from the new Opus complex, which is coming out of the ground. Steve, Addison is basically becoming an entirely different place.
Isn't it amazing? You know, one thing, a couple things I've learned being an elected official now for going on 11 or 12 years. First of all, urban planning takes a long time. We were talking about Addison when I got elected 11 years ago. But one of the things is we hired an expert, a demographer, to do traffic counts and see who's moving into town and all that kind of stuff. And it turns out, and they happen to be right, that due to Elmhurst setup, that we're large enough for two main thoroughfares in our downtown. So they believed, the experts told us that not only did we have a thriving York Street running down the middle, but Addison, one block away, could also thrive and further promote Elmhurst and be developed. And it's really happening. You know, we expanded the Schiller Walkway with the York building that's being put up. We actually purchased 4 or 5 feet of property from Tony Gambino, who owns that property. Mm-hmm. So we've expanded the walkway, made it more inviting to walk between the two. And then between the parking garage, Fitness Formula, and Opus, we're close to $100 million in development on that street alone in the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 years.
That's impressive.
So, yeah, I tell you what, I do get comments occasionally from residents. If they haven't been downtown in a little while, just the comments on the development that's happening. It's really, it's really going well. It's a tribute to staff and elected officials for the hard work. That parking deck was another thing that the planner said, as it's required by law for us to provide parking for our businesses. We don't require them to do it, so we do it on their behalf. I think that's Gladys. Is that Gladys Novotny waving at us?
That is Gladys Novotny, yes.
It was the Elmhurst Symphony Orchestra just went by.
Very nice.
Her and her husband Dave are very involved with that.
Absolutely, very involved with the community.
Yes.
Anyway, it was a if you build it, they will come sort of thing. If you put in that parking deck, it'll attract other businesses and develop it. And it's certainly proven to be the case.
Manual Lutheran School, 3rd Street in Elmhurst. Walking by, they're also always in this parade.
Yes. And we saw the Lions go by just a little bit earlier, Ken,
right,
and they're a group here that has done such things as sponsoring the mobile hearing unit, reverse raffle to support Sight First Second and diabetes research. They're noted for eyeglasses and hearing aid recycling, Adopt a Park, and many, many other things. Glad to have them continue with us in Elmhurst.
How many parades is this for you, Ken?
This would be number 21 for doing the announcing.
Okay.
I think I've seen them all since about 1980.
All 100 of them, Ken?
No.
Okay.
No, I think I only go back about 35 of them.
How about you, Tony?
You know, that's a good question. Maybe being Ken's wingman, maybe this is my, fourth, fifth year? But I have always attended the Elmhurst Memorial Day Parade. And I used to build floats for the 4th of July Parade when we had the 4th of July Parade. And then when we had the sesquicentennial, I was actually chairman for that parade. And that was the longest parade in Elmhurst history.
Well, the sesquicentennial, major milestone in the history of the city, and it's getting to be long enough ago. We're going to come up on the centennial of the city here one of these years.
Yes. Well, I think, Mayor, I think if Ken continues to drink that specialized coffee that, some of these houses have, like Starbucks and whatnot, he might be 100 years.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get
He'll see the
there.
100-year mark.
Well, that's 2036. I'll stay optimistic at that point. So, but it is a historical town. There's no way around it. You start to have 100-year anniversaries, and you bring into direct perspective that the community is not only well established, it's been a leading community in DuPage County in northern Illinois for a long time. And we've got the organizations having anniversaries to prove that, the school district and the chamber and the York High School, actually, not necessarily the school district, but the chamber, the parade itself. Next year, the Legion will be 100 years old. The college will be 150 years old in 3 years from now.
It's my alma mater.
It's a historical town.
Yeah.
With our very own History Museum, Ken, thank you for the setup.
Absolutely.
And new museum director Dave Oberg.
The chorus of DuPage.
I have to tell you, I think that's the first time they've been in the parade.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I do not recall them. So
Ken,
if it is, we welcome them.
Ken and Mayor coming into our picture as a group. We're very, very fortunate that this group continues on. It's the Elmhurst Police Department DARE and the 5th grade students. This is the all Elmhurst schools, 5th graders, the DARE program, which is the Drug Abuse Resistance Education. And their purpose is to reduce and eliminate for the young people's use of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs by focusing on decision-making skills. With them are officers Anthony Cazzone, Hawkins, Jarrett, and Kafakoulis.
Kazone is in there somewhere?
Kazone, it's the same.
Anybody we know?
Guy's got the same name as you, Tony.
Isn't that something?
That is amazing.
It might be somebody that we know.
My mother used to be a school teacher here at Hawthorne, and she was taught 5th grade, and her DARE officer way back in the day was a gentleman by the name of Don Panico.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Dominic. Sure. Yeah, that's our son that both my wife Marie and I are very proud of.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Vietnam War sign going by with Cub Scout pack number 24 doing the honors.
Seem like they're having a good time.
They do. because 2018 is an important year in Elmhurst, 1918's been getting a lot of attention too for the similar reason. And a lot of interesting things about 1918, including the fact that in 1918, boys wore pink and girls wore blue because blue was seen as the weaker color.
Oh. This is just in general nationwide, Ken?
Nationwide, yeah. Looked it up.
I thought we were living in topsy-turvy times now.
Pink is a stronger color than blue, or so they say.
I was going to say, I'd like to know where you're checking your facts there.
Yeah. The Red Baron got shot down this year, too, in 1918.
He was wearing red, though, not pink.
That's true.
Oh,
That's
there
true.
you go. Kids, drop in. We're looking at right now.
Oh, look at this little girl. I wonder if she made it the whole way.
Oh, my goodness, look at that. There you go.
I'll bet you that.
There's a couple of young marchers that we have with us.
I'll bet you
today.
Dad had some duty along the way. That would be my guess.
Ken, I tell you, that little girl was wearing those fashion sunglasses just like you had.
Yeah,
wonder
I know.
if you got them at the same place.
Yeah. I just pulled them out. I thought I'd be festive today.
There you go.
Whoa.
Yeah, that lake breeze
it's kicking in.
feels very nice. Feels very nice.
Here comes our public library.
Yeah, they're kicking in their summer reading program. Citywide, they set up quite a display in the main floor of the children's area of the library for you read books, you get treats and prizes and awards. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, they have rooms, conference rooms that you can reserve.
Oh, my goodness. Library doesn't do it justice, calling it a library. If you haven't been there, I like to say 15 years ago, I didn't know that everything that was in the library could fit on my phone. So they had to figure out how to make it interactive. And it's kind of a good news, bad news thing is that that library is so packed, we have parking problems. But anything you can imagine, you can check out there. And you can anything you can imagine, you can make there.
Yes.
They have a makery in the basement. It's just fantastic. It's really, it's not your mother's library. Let's put it that way.
That's true.
Encourage you to stop by and check it out.
That's true. They have a lot of resources there. There's no doubt about that.
Check it out. That was good. I like that.
You picked up on that, Ken?
I did.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, while we've been breaking the action, I have to go prepare for our ceremony. We're going to have in about a half an hour. I appreciate your time and allow me to sit and join you.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you over there.
Say hello to President Lincoln for us.
Will do. I did see him walking around. I'm going to have to give him a little bit of a hard time. Mr. President did not wear his jacket in the parade. So,
Unlike our mayor.
There you go.
Right?
All right.
I tell you, that's right. Image is everything. I'm telling you.
Bye, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mayor. Thank you.
This is Vitality, Women's Physical Therapy and Wellness Group, coming by. Pretty good aerobic exercise today to be walking in the parade, I would think.
Yeah, that's about all you would need for today. There's no doubt about that. You work up a sweat right after 5 minutes, and I bet you lose at least 5 pounds.
You got Forfeit Mom, DuPage County. Mom's Fitness. Challenges of Motherhood. There's the strollers, Tony.
There they are. We got all the kids. We got mom and dad, and we got flags, and we got colors, red, white, and blue. Everybody's out enjoying the day today. Look at the crowd. Look at the group they have today, Ken.
Absolutely.
I'm impressed.
Well, some of those strollers, I'm surprised, the Shriners haven't taken them over.
You're right. Absolutely. They sure are big enough. There's Kent Johnson, I believe. Yes, there he is, Kent Johnson in our picture, our city engineer, and his wife Bryn and the kids.
Yeah, today's the day for red, white, and blue. No question about that.
Yeah.
It's the Elmhurst JCs coming into the camera. Put on the carnival every year and a number of other, the Distinguished Service Award, the JCs, long-standing, important organization in town. Salem Media Group and AM 560 WIND.
JC's, they used to put on the Elm Fest years back, wasn't it?
Well, they were partnered.
Partner?
They put on the carnival portion of Elm Fest for about 20 some odd years. Elm Fest itself went for 27 years. So Elmhurst Walk-In Assistance Network used to be the Elmhurst Walk-In Ministry. They changed their name a couple of years ago, but they do the same great work, connecting people in need with resources in their community that answer everything they can.
Jerry Osterman carrying the banner. There's Scott Algram carrying one of the banners.
Yep. They have a big fundraiser in September, the Sunday of Labor Day weekend, called Q for a Cause.
That's right.
And that's at York and Villette in the municipal lot. So
that's kind of a neat little float there from Allied. Reby Storage and Moving Company.
yeah, Korean War sign, Cub Scout pack number 23 coming into view. The Korean War, Tony, with the unfortunate continuing loss of World War II veterans.
Yes.
The Korean War is starting to step up as the group of veterans that we still have quite a few of, and they're starting to get a lot more attention than they used to.
Yeah, well deserved too. Well, you can hear coming up in the background now our next unit, the Chicago Highlanders, pipes and drums. Very cool.
St. Peter's United Church of Christ going by.
Boy, and they've got a vintage red Pontiac GTO.
Yeah, I remember that car.
Yeah, do you?
I do.
The old muscle cars from years back.
And right behind it, the Elmhurst Bicycle Club. Seems muscle cars and then real muscles.
And then real muscles, that's right. I bet you they get great gas mileage.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I would guess that's true. You know what the big hit movie in 1918 was, Tony?
1918.
Yeah.
Oh my God, was that with a Humphrey Bogart or something?
No. Tarzan of the Apes. The first Tarzan was in 1918.
Tarzan of the Apes.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
What? How did you remember that one?
I didn't remember it.
It just kind of came to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wrote it down.
1918. I'll have to remember that.
World War II sign, Cub Scout Troop 417 and Boy Scout Troop 417 and Cub Scout Pack 417. We're at about the 3/4 mark in the parade, Tony.
Yeah. Moving along at a nice pace. Thank goodness for this breeze, though. It's making this actually a nice day.
Yeah, it's a very nice day.
303 taxi coming up in our picture right now. Another transportation group here in Elmhurst, serving us and the community, and serving it well.
You know, several years ago when I first started seeing taxis in Elmhurst, I said to myself, who's using these things?
Yeah.
But now I know who's using them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are using them.
Yeah.
And there's more than one company in Elmhurst, too.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. Now here's an Orange Theory Fitness float with a guy doing rowing,
Yeah,
so to speak.
My goodness.
If he's done that the entire parade route, I can't even imagine how many calories he's burned.
That's got to be a record-breaking
They
event
probably
that he's doing. Holy.
Yeah, they probably could calculate that, would be my guess.
You're probably right.
So World War I, as we continue to back down in the wars, as World War I sign, Cub Scout Pack number 26.
It's nice seeing all these Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts groups and whatnot. This next unit is sponsored by Superior Air Ground Ambulance Service, and it's the DuPage Cycling Group, of which, Ken, they're going to have their annual race here in Elmhurst coming up. I don't remember the exact date, but something like the third week in July. I know Alderman Kevin York is very involved with that. And I don't know if you've ever seen it or if any of our viewers have seen it, but it's really an exciting event.
John Quigley and I normally do the television for that event, Tony, so
Okay,
I have seen it. It's, the one thing about it is it's usually one of the hottest days of the year, without doubt. And I guess when you're doing something the third week in July, you ought to expect it to be hot.
Yeah.
But it's been extremely hot, and these professionals, particularly the professionals in the races, are unbelievable.
Yeah.
They wear, they've got ice. They race around the courses right here, basically, around Elmhurst College.
Yeah.
And they race around. They've got ice. They've got ice packs on their backs to stay cool, and it's just amazing. The Elmhurst Princesses, the Salt Creek Federation going by. Happy to see them.
So do you and John get on a couple of bikes and go around the course and everything before you go on air?
We
check things out.
We actually go around the course and interview people. It's a big party. I mean, the people have big parties in the front lawn, and they race from about 10 o'clock in the morning until about 10 o'clock at night, because the last race is actually under the lights now.
That's true.
And so we go around and visit with the people and the bikers. City manager Jim Grabowski put a small camera on his bike and did a lap for us so we could see what it looked like from a participant's perspective.
Cool.
Mike Kopp and Kevin York actually were in one of the races last
that's
year.
Right. I remember that.
They let's just say they didn't win, but they were in the race.
And they didn't get hurt.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
But you know.
Lexington Square bus of Elmhurst, just going past our picture now.
Now I wonder, do you think this is the same trolley that we saw at the beginning of the parade?
Well, now that's a good question, but I don't think so. It's red, but...
As is the Just Married trolley, according to the front sign. I hope some of the folks that I'm seeing arenn't just married.
If they are.
I guess it's possible.
Yeah, it is today.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. I think that's fine. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. And what should follow the Just Married sign but, the American Royal Beauty Pageant.
There you go.
Car. There you go.
And they are royal beauties. Very beautiful girls. Happy to have them here today at our Elmhurst 100th Memorial Day Parade.
Spanish-American War, 1898. Cub Scout pack number 78. I've said this before, but this parade, a lot of times, given the Cub Scout and Boy Scout participation with the signage, this might be the first parade that some kids in Elmhurst ever march in. And they might be marching in it for who knows how long. Elmhurst likes to keep its people local.
Yeah, that's true. And it's a great foundation that the parents lay for them. March in our parade.
Well, I'm sure that we've got multi-generational marchers, where the parents marched as kids, and now they're marching as parents or leaders of organizations.
Yeah, you're probably right. There's a group holding an Elmhurst swim team sign.
Yeah, we were told that they perhaps were not going to be here, but they are, and we're happy that they are.
Absolutely.
Elmhurst swim team. Delta Sonic car wash with the appropriately detailed automobile.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a
nice Chevy Camaro.
I was going to say that's a Camaro.
Yeah.
The Civil War and Mexican War signs are carried by Cub Scout pack number 15. The really nice attendance all along the parade route, or I've been told by some of the radio folks. Mm-hmm. And of course, right here, where we are, Tony, in Wilder Park, just west of the Veterans Memorial. This is always a big spot for gathering. Number one, the reviewing stand is here. Number two, the Veterans Memorial itself, where right after the parade, the military ceremony will take place, which is also televised and is a very moving kind of tribute, as we've been talking about during the parade, to all of our veterans as well as our current military personnel, and even extended to first responders on this Memorial Day.
Absolutely. Pathway Community Church just going past us right now. And you're right, Ken. Bill Shanklin and his group, they do a really nice job putting that ceremonial together. It's very respectful, and it's done with dignity, and I'm happy to see it every year.
Cougars Baseball and Softball Club. And on a day like today, the wind's blowing out, Tony.
Yeah, wind's blowing out. These kids are coming toward the end of the parade, and look at the enthusiasm they still have. All right.
This is elite tutoring. Tutoring program throughout the year.
Yeah, right behind them is American Taxi Dispatch Incorporated. Another taxi service operating in Elmhurst. As you mentioned before, Ken, we didn't have them, but now we've got all kinds.
American Blue, yeah, it's a private car service. You know what? It's just terrific that businesses in town, large or small, want to participate in the Memorial Day Parade.
Absolutely.
And whether it's a historic parade like this one, which is in its 100th year, or whether it's a parade just getting off the ground somewhere, the business community as well as the residents need to support these kinds of recognitions and honor for our military, both veterans as well as active duty.
Absolutely. Just going past us was the War of 1812 and Revolutionary War signs carried by Boy Scout Troop number 82, and I know you saw in our picture the way they saluted our reviewing stand. Little Kickers, a soccer group. Looks like a fun.
Well, they're still playing soccer, and obviously, and they're still playing hockey in some places of the country. So here's the Chiefs Hockey Club. And they found the cameras, ladies and gentlemen.
Did,
They found the cameras.
Yeah, we love our youth. It's good to see them out here today with all that enthusiasm.
The Old School Classic Bicycle Club. You can see what they mean by classic bicycles. The low riding, high seat.
Yeah, I remember those.
Small chains.
Some of those bikes from years ago, they used to call them a Stingray.
Yep.
Remember
That's right.
that?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And this is a representative, I believe, and it is, of the Elmhurst Chicago Stone Company. Everybody talks about the quarries to the west of Elmhurst, which now are magnificent storm retention assistance locations. But
Yes.
the Elmhurst Chicago Stone Company is the oldest active business in the city.
Yeah, isn't that incredible?
And
They used to operate the concrete batch plant out of there, and like you say, Ken, over the years now, the county purchased both those lobes, the east and west lobes of the quarry, and it is now a stormwater operation center where it automatically, when Salt Creek reaches a certain level, the waters spill over and go through a channelway and make their way into the west lobe, and then flows into the east lobe. That one fills first, and then the west lobe will fill, and the water is held there until the level of the quarry goes down, and then they slowly pump the water back in. It has saved Elmhurst, I gotta say.
here we have the Kiwanis Club of Elmhurst. and veterans of Elmhurst College, and the parade marshals carrying the large United States flag, which is always not only a highlight of this Memorial Day parade, but also pretty much signals the end of the Memorial Day parade as well. And we thank all of these individuals for their help in windy conditions, which this day turned out to be. Handling that flag can be a rather significant thing. So
there's our vintage shot from underneath.
Under the American flag.
Yeah,
you
that's
bet.
cool.
Absolutely. And then once again, this is the Kiwanis Club and their participation. We also want to thank the York Radio Club for their assistance, primarily to us, but other parade organizers in keeping everything organized and the way it should be. And then the First Congregational United Church of Christ always ends the parade with some attempt at cleanup, and on a windy day like today, there's undoubtedly a little bit of cleanup to be had.
Yeah. We want to thank our Comcast crew too.
Oh, we absolutely do.
Glenn Liljeberg, our producer, and Joey Priscitelli and his group, all the cameramen and everybody do a really great job to help bring this to our viewers and actually make us look good.
Well, this has been the 100th Memorial Day Parade in Elmhurst, and we will be going immediately now to the Veterans Ceremony at the Veterans Memorial in Wilder Park. For Tony Kazone, I'm Ken Bartels. Please enjoy your Memorial Day, and thank you for watching Elmhurst, Our Kind of Town.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Nice to see you, Major Walker. Hope you enjoyed the ride this morning. First thing I'd like to do is invite our commander to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commander. Can everyone hear out there? Yes, sir. Okay, good. Because I was talking to myself at Veterans Day. Next, we'll have a musical selection, the Star Spangled Banner from Manus Spiritus.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly
color guard take your posts. Please be seated. Again, thank you for being here. We have some very special people that we're going to introduce to you a little later on in the ceremony. My name is Bill Shanklin. I'm the Master of Ceremonies today, assisted by Russ Strahan, the Officer of the Day. At this time, I'd like to invite General Wendell to lead us in our Memorial Day prayer and make a few comments about why we're here. General Wendell. Good to see you, sir.
On this occasion, Elmhurst's 100th Memorial Day observance, we gather to pay tribute to those brave men and women who answered the call to duty, of whom many made the supreme sacrifice that assured us the opportunity to gather as we are on this day. Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States, during his inaugural address stated as follows: "Those who say that we're in a time when there are not heroes, they just don't know where to look." With his eyes focused on nearby military monuments, he stated, "Beyond those monuments to heroism is the Potomac River, and on the far shore, the sloping hills of Arlington National Cemetery, with its row upon row of simple white markers bearing crosses or stars of David. They add up to only a tiny fraction of the price that has been paid for our freedom." November of this year will mark the 100th anniversary of cessation of hostilities of that which was called the war that will end all wars. Oh, if that had only been true. Those who served in the next world conflagration that ended 73 years ago were known as the greatest generation, a title rightly deserved. As we are gathered here on this day, there are 2 million men and women who currently wear the uniform of one of our nation's 5 branches of service. They serve as members on active duty throughout the world. There are those who serve in the reserve forces and the National Guard who do continuous deployments throughout the world. There are also the civilian heroes, the mothers and the fathers, wives and husbands, children and other family members who have someone in their family currently serving somewhere in the world, at home or abroad. Families provide the necessary moral support that their loved ones depend upon. If it were not for the patriotic support of the civilian workforce who provide the means whereby those on the front lines can perform their duty, there would be no victory to win. My father, unlike his 2 sons, never wore a military uniform. But I have with me a document that I treasure. It was presented to my dad 100 years ago, 1918. 15 years before I was born, but I will not tell you my age. It is stated in large letters as, and I shall hold it before you and read from it: "An industrial soldier. American soldiers and sailors could not have carried their flag to victory by land, sea, and air, but for the constant, wholehearted labor of her armies of industry at home. On the last day of the war, my father became unemployed. They no longer needed shells such as the ones that he was making at a factory in Chicago." I'm going to ask that in just a moment we will bow our heads in a moment of silence in recognition and gratitude for those who have gone before, those who have laid down their lives for the freedom that we enjoy. After which, I will lead in prayer. Let us bow our heads. Our Father in heaven, as we come before you on this day, a day of recognition that is observed across our land, as we pay tribute to the men and the women who have served, as well as those who have served to the fullest extent by laying down their lives for our freedom, for those young men and women who are currently in training, those who will yet someday serve in our military. We pray for our nation. We pray that peace might prevail. We thank you for this land in which we live and for your blessing upon it. This I pray in the name of Jesus Christ, my Lord. Amen.
Thank you, General Wendell. Now I'd like to invite David Gass, a member of our Elmhurst Memorial Veterans Commission and member of VFW Post 2801, for a special remembrance of one of our former commission members. David?
Thank you, Bill. Chuck, could you come up here? Thank you. We lost one of our members from the Elmhurst Memorial. She was a gifted member. She helped us in 2048 when Elmhurst had our own VFW post. We moved over to Villa Park 2801. She helped us out there. She passed away recently, and I'd like to present her husband, Chuck, a plaque from the Elmhurst Memorial Commission to honor her. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Now I'd like to invite Jerry Christofferson to come forward. He's president of the True Patriot Care, has a few comments to make to us today. And he's the one responsible for all these beautiful flags you see.
It's just really an honor to be invited back here again this year. We were here, this is our second year, but right now we're going to do something really special that I think you'll understand in a few minutes. There's 2 Vietnam veterans here that are going to be escorted over to our field of honor, and they're going to retrieve the flag of Air Force Colonel Peter J. Stewart and Army Staff Sergeant Marshall Kippeneth. They were both recovered, and we want to welcome them home. While they're doing that, I'll tell you a little bit about the True Patriots. As you can see, these are our beautiful flags that we are honored to take all over the Midwest and honor our troops and our veterans and our first responders. Many of you might have seen when we had our display down in Oak Brook last September for the 9/11. And today, I'm sure everybody knows the 1,600 flags out there represent the POWs and the MIAs from the Vietnam War that are still missing. It's with great honor today that we're able to retrieve 2 of those and welcome them home. And but anyway, we have, it's just such an honor. No matter how many times we put up the flags, you know, they fly like now and they just look so beautiful. You don't even get tired. And I'm an old guy, and I do get tired, but I don't get tired about doing our flags. If you can stop over at our True Patriots tent, you will. We have our brochures there that'll tell you where we're going to be. We're going to be up at Lake Zurich next. for the Tunnels to Towers fundraiser. We're going to be at McHenry College for their Salute to Veterans. We're going to be with the Warrior Wishes fundraiser at St. Andrews Golf Course. Purple Heart Day. We're looking for anyone that has received a Purple Heart. We're having a picnic. Everything's free. The Navy Band's going to be there, perform. We'll have guest speakers and stuff. That's on August 5th. You can find out all that information on our website. And then we'll be at the Night Out for Crime. We'll be up in Janesville, Wisconsin for a biker blast. And then on November 11th, we'll be in 33 different locations, 28 different towns in 2 states as we honor our veterans. So now, gentlemen, if you'll retire those flags, as of April 6th, Staff Sergeant Marshall Capel was reported missing on July 13th, 1966. He was assigned to the 131st Aviation Company, and he was aboard an aircraft OV-1C on night surveillance when it disappeared due to heavy thunderstorms. There was no crash site found. He was subsequently declared missing in action. As of April 6, 2018, they had recovered his remains. The other one is for Air Force Colonel Peter J. Stewart. He was declared missing in action on March 15, 1966. He was a member of Headquarters, 8th Tactical Fighter Wing, a pilot on a 2-seater F-4C aircraft, and he was shot down. Witnesses, other aircraft said it was a bright orange explosion, and no parachute was signaled. They were able to now recover his remains and return them home to their family. So, gentlemen, welcome home, and thank you for a job well done. So if you get a chance, okay.
Detail, right? Hey. Detail, right? Hey. Forward.
We'll keep those flags on display by our tent if anyone wants to see them, and welcome them home. And thank you so much. We really appreciate being part of Elmhurst. Thank you.
And now we will hear a musical selection from Brian Costello. Now it's my honor to invite John R. Quigley, President and CEO of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry, for our special recognition. John. Thank you, John.
Every year it's my pleasure, both on Memorial Day and Veterans Day, to read the names of those who have served and those we have lost in the 6 months between those two special days. I always start with a little story, and I've got a fitting one especially for today. You see 1,600 flags out there of POWs and MIAs that have been unidentified from the Vietnam War. And pretty soon we will lose another POW from the Vietnam War, Senator John McCain. Senator McCain flew missions in Vietnam. He was shot down. He spent 6 years in the Hanoi Hilton being tortured. He had the opportunity to go home early, if only he would say some things and leave his mates behind. And Senator McCain decided that's not who he was. That's not who he wanted to be. and he put up with it for 6 years until he came home. And he suffered horrible injuries from his time in the Hanoi Hilton. And right after that, he ran for elected office, and ever since then has been serving this country in elected office. And on a day like today, let me tell you, a gentleman who served 20 plus years in the military, 30 plus years in our government, flew missions over Vietnam, was shot down, and was a prisoner of war, will always, always be an American hero. And now the names of those we said goodbye to in the last 6 months. Alan Keith Austin, Lloyd D. Beasley, David E. Beckman, Joseph Bowen, Melvin T. Bruns, William Burns, Michael Catalanato, Thomas Christian, Walter Christoff, James Collins, Maurice J. Connors, Jerome F. Conroy, Gary Cooper, William B. Dwyer, good friend of mine, Don Feely, John Ferraro, Orr Sang Fingley Jr., Roland Fisher, Kenneth F. Gerlman, John C. Grande, James M. Green, William Gren, Paul E. Haberstich, Carl A. Hansen, Michael J. Hartigan, John Hovance, Matthew R. Ides, George Allen Korianek, Frank Crone, James W. Colton, John N. Laments, Mimi Lowe, Donald E. McCarthy, John McConaughey, William McDowell, Myron Migliorini, Guy Moore, Paul Mueller, John W. Myers, Lawrence R. Myers, Joseph Newton, who I think we all knew, Patrick O'Neill, Harold B. Ostling, Daniel Sacco, Richard Small, J. Peter Tolson, George D. Van Sr., Richard Verzi, Norbert Wallent, Leo C. Wisniewski, John Wolfersheim, and the last name on my list is normally here in our front row, Marvin Harry Mishnick, a World War II hero, landed D-Day plus 18, fought in the Battle of the Bulge, was with us for 99 years, part of our parade for a number of years, and part of this ceremony for a number of years. We lost him 2 months ago, just shy of his 100th birthday and our 100th parade. I will leave you in the modern technology with a tweet. Today, we honor the Americans who sacrificed everything to secure the blessings of liberty. Family and friends to some, heroes to all, who lived, fought, and died for the safety and future of a great and good nation. God bless them and grant them perpetual peace. Hashtag Memorial Day, Senator John McCain. Thank you.
Rifle squad, prepare to fire a 3-round volley.
Firing party. Left hand. Forward. Rifle squad. 1 step forward. Move. Right. Pace. Prepare to fire. Ready. Aim. Fire. Ready. Aim. Fire. Ready. Aim. Fire. Recover.
Bugler. Tap. Race
Rifle
set.
squad. Wait. Firing target. Freeze and
dismiss the rifle squad. And now it is my honor and distinct privilege to present our 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. We've actually met a couple of times before.
Yes, sir.
You remember?
We go way back.
Yes, we do, sir.
Yeah. We went to school together, didn't
Yes,
we?
sir, I think we did.
I understand that your holiday of Memorial Day had its origins in the years after our great and terrible Civil War in what was called Decoration Day, when people in both North and South would decorate the graves of those fallen soldiers with flowers as a way to honor their memory. War inevitably entails great sacrifices and suffering for a nation and her people, from the ultimate sacrifice of life itself made by some members of our armed forces, to the varied lesser yet still painful sacrifices and sufferings which are the lot of many others, including those family members and friends who lose a loved one. The sacrifices and suffering for my own family and me would begin quite early in our great and terrible Civil War. Near the end of our years in Springfield, we had become well acquainted with a fine young man by the name of Elmer Ellsworth. Ellsworth was from New York State, but had moved out to Illinois in the mid-1850s when he was 17 years old, living first in Rockford, then in Chicago, before moving to Springfield in 1860 to join my law office as a clerk and continue his study of the law. He later campaigned for me in the presidential election of 1860 and then helped to manage my journey to Washington. He became a close friend of the whole family and almost like another son to me. After the Confederate takeover of Fort Sumter in mid-April 1861, I called for 75,000 volunteer soldiers to put down the rebellion. My young friend was among the first to join the cause, going to New York City to raise the 11th New York Volunteer Infantry Regiment from among that city's volunteer firefighting companies. He then returned to Washington as the colonel of these famous Fire Zouaves, who were soon dispatched across the Potomac River to occupy Alexandria, Virginia. They were the first Union troops to occupy Confederate territory, and they accomplished this task with little trouble, except for one terribly tragic incident. There was a large rebel flag atop the Marshall House, a small inn, which for weeks had been visible from Washington, including from my office in the White House. Colonel Ellsworth entered the inn with several of his men, and he himself went upstairs to take that flag down. On his way back down the stairs, he was shot and killed by the innkeeper. I grieved for my young friend as if he had been my own son, and the next day wrote a letter of condolence to his parents. I did not know it at the time, but it would be just one of many hundreds of letters of condolence which I would write to grieving parents, children, siblings, and other kin and friends over the next several years. May 25th, 1861. To the father and mother of Colonel Elmer E. Ellsworth, my dear sir and madam, in the untimely loss of your noble son, our affliction here is scarcely less than your own. So much of promised usefulness to one's country and of bright hopes for oneself and friends have rarely been so suddenly dashed as in his fall. In size, in years, and in youthful appearance, a boy only, his power to command men was surpassingly great. This power, combined with a fine intellect, an indomitable energy, and a taste altogether military, constituted in him, as seemed to me, the best natural talent in that department I ever knew. And yet he was singularly modest and deferential in social intercourse. My acquaintance with him began less than 2 years ago, yet through the latter half of the intervening period, it was as intimate as the disparity of our ages and my engrossing engagements would permit. To me, he appeared to have no indulgences or pastimes, and I never heard him utter a profane or intemperate word. What was conclusive of his good heart, he never forgot his parents. The honors he labored for so laudably, and in the sad end so gallantly gave his life, he meant for them no less than for himself. In the hope that it may be no intrusion upon the sacredness of your sorrow, I have ventured to address you this tribute to the memory of my young friend and your brave and early fallen child. May God give you that consolation which is beyond all earthly power. Sincerely, your friend in common affliction, Abraham Lincoln. At my request, by the way, the body of Elmer Ellsworth, one of the first martyrs for the cause of the Union, was brought by an honor guard to the White House and lay in state in the East Room. His death would serve as a rallying cry in the North over the coming weeks and months, but this would not dim the intensity of our great feeling of loss. It would serve as a reminder, however, that the price of peace is often very costly, involving the sacrifices and suffering of many, from the members of our armed forces who serve, some of whom will give their very lives to the cause, and we remember and honor them this special and sacred day. To those family members and friends who suffer the painful loss of a loved one, thank you.
Please stand. We're going to raise our colors. Present. Huh. Raise the colors. Please be seated. And now I would like to invite our mayor, Steve Morley, for a few words. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon at this point. I want to thank all of you for being here on behalf of the City of Elmhurst. I'd like to welcome you to this special 100th Elmhurst Memorial Day celebration. It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you. I am also humbled to be here along with the men and women who have served our great country. I would like to thank the people involved to make this a special day in Elmhurst. The Elmhurst Veterans Memorial Commission, the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce, the Elmhurst American Legion, Post 187, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 2801, and there's many more. I'd ask you to look at the program that was handed out. Not only is it very informative, but it has, actually I call it a program. Bill Shanklin calls it more of a guide. Some of you get that. Anyway, I would ask you to look at that program. Not only does it have great information about the folks who helped put this together, but there's information about our Grand Marshal, Mark Malin, among others. Today, this morning, we join millions of Americans in saying thank you to those who proudly serve this great country and lost their lives so our lives could be better. As was mentioned, many of you know, Memorial Day can trace its roots back to 1868, when it was called Decoration Day. Union General John A. Logan, after serving in the Mexican-American War and Civil War, proposed to Congress that this day, May 30th, be instituted as Decoration Day. Many of you don't know, the purpose for it being held in the spring is so that our deceased veterans could have their graves decorated with fresh flowers. Now, today is a day that we honor and we celebrate. And I think it's important to draw a distinction between the two. We honor those who gave their lives on Memorial Day, who lost their lives on behalf of our country. Those who died so we can live free and enjoy our freedoms. Freedom that many around the globe do not share. There are many ways we can honor our fallen. We can share a story of a loved one lost so that they are not forgotten. We can honor them by supporting their families that they left behind. Imagine, if you will, for a minute, someone you love most is no longer with you. Family members, look next to you. What would you do? What would your life be like if that person sitting next to you right now would not be with you? I recently heard a military mom spoke whose son paid the ultimate sacrifice. And she said, to everyone else, it's been 14 years. To me, it seems like yesterday. Imagine the support that that mother needs. If you don't know anybody, ask their second family, ask their military family, ask a veteran. They will share a story with you of someone lost. To parents and grandparents, I call on you to teach your children what today means, what it means to them, and what it means to our country. Next time they cry over a cracked screen on their cell phone, try to put it in perspective for them that somebody they didn't even know sacrificed their lives so they could live in the country that we live in. Some will actually celebrate today, and that's okay. I ask you to celebrate that you are with your families. I ask you to celebrate that it is a beautiful day to be alive and with a loved one. I ask you to celebrate that you have great friends to share this day with, like my buddy, Major Edwin Walker. I can't tell you what it means to me to have one of my best friends, a man who stood up in my wedding, Colonel Mark Mallon, here today. I can only imagine what his family went through as he went on tour after tour in the Middle East. Sitting next to him is his nephew. How great is that? Jack Mallon, continuing the tradition. If you are going to celebrate today, I ask you to celebrate being an American. Finally, I ask that you do not forget. As was mentioned, the True Patriots Care, only 75 yards away. I ask that you go and visit that after our ceremony today. As has been stated, it's not just a flag, it's a loved one. I also ask today at 3 o'clock that you observe a national moment of remembrance. This was signed into law in the year 2000. It was prompted by a young school child who was touring the Capitol and asked what he thought of Memorial Day. He said, "I love it. It's when the pool's open." That's not remembering, folks. So at 3 o'clock today, I ask you to join everybody in a moment of silence. I also ask that you reflect on what our founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson and our founding fathers, stated in the Declaration of Independence, of the self-evident truths that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What everyone needs to understand is that it's the job of the government, and more specifically the job of our military, to protect and defend those truths and to protect and defend those rights. And we're here to honor those who gave their lives. As you go through your day today while spending time with family and friends, please take time to think about the men and women who have sacrificed their lives for the freedom that we have today. I thank you all. God bless America, and God bless the United States.
Yes, sir. And God bless Elmhurst. And now, a musical selection by the Men of Spiritos.
Of the for peace, for their land and for mine. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America.
Thank you very much. This is part of the program where I introduce our officers. As I call your name, please stand up. Robert F. Brackey, Colonel, U.S. Army. Martin Jensen, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army. John Birch, First Lieutenant, U.S. Army, World War II. John Wendell, Brigadier General, U.S. Air Force. David A. Fry, Commander, U.S. Navy. Edmund Walker IV, Major, U.S. Marine Corps. Lincoln Puffer, Lieutenant Commander, U.S. Coast Guard. Alan Haraff, Master Chief, U.S. Coast Guard. And I have a special couple of more names to mention. A young man, U.S. Marine, just graduated from boot camp. Welcome, Jack Mallon. And I'd like to introduce Captain retired from the U.S. Army, Lori Tompos. And Colonel retired Stephen Braverman, MD, Director of Edward Hines Jr. VA Hospital. Thank you for being here. Did I miss anyone? Okay, good. And now I would like to invite John Quigley again, Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce President and CEO, and Ralph Picciano, Chairman of the Veterans Memorial Commission, to present our Grand Marshal.
Right in here.
Before we do this and present this to Colonel Mallon, I've got two things to say. In addition to this being the 100th annual Memorial Day Parade, this marks the 26th year that we've gathered here on Memorial Day. 26 years, 26 times we've done this, and Major Walker was here for all those times. I've been here for all those times, and I'm sure there's quite a few others here also. And the other thing is this, we're starting our season to honor deceased veterans. We do that during the summer months, and we try to conclude by September now. But we don't have anybody on our schedule this year so far. So we're asking if anybody out there who has a deceased veteran who is a member of their family or a friend, please do give us a call at City Hall. We have a very simple blue form that you can complete for us. There's no charges, and we'd be pleased to honor that veteran. We do that on Sundays as part of a two-part service. Okay, and with that, John and I have the honor of introducing Colonel Mark R. Mallon, U.S. Army, and he has the privilege of being our 100th annual Memorial Day Parade Grand Marshal. Colonel Mallon. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. The mic is yours.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's a scary thought. Don't do that. Great. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for all who came to this ceremony. Not for me, but for those who aren't here. I think the first thing I have to do when I get home is start pulling down some carefully selected artwork in our living room and making room for that, because that's going in our house. But no, this was such an honor when I was called or asked to do this. And I've been in Elmhurst since 1975. And for so many years, I watched the parades go by. And you saw so many people that were in that Grand Marshal float who've done so much in the world and locally. And for many years, my most important thing was how much candy could I get from the floats that came by. As we get older, though, we start to realize the true meaning of what this is for and why we're here. And the greatest thing today is what we have over in the field there. Not that it's a great thing, but we look at how many flags are out there. And those are the flags that never made it home. And we look at the names around here on the monuments of the people, our Elmhurst brethren, and we're just one town of those who didn't make it home. So as we enjoy the day, we also take the time to remember those who didn't make it back. For so many years and for so many wars, it was a draft. And yes, you had the people that showed up at the draft station and said, hey, I want to sign up now. But you had so many others that got a letter in the mail. And the greatest thing was they weren't happy, but they took their letter and they showed up and they said, I'm here to do my duty. And they did. And they did it tremendously. And some didn't make it home. And some did. And those that did, some volunteered to go back and do it again, knowing full well the risks they took and the risks that were ahead of them. In the last 40 years, we've been an all-volunteer army. So everybody that has gone downrange and has seen combat and has fought and has served our country in no matter what capacity has done it as a volunteer and said, I'm here because I believe in who we are and I fight for who we are. And many have gone back numerous times and spent 30 plus years in the military and in support of the military. And those families have supported their military soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen around the world to let them do their job because they believe in it, knowing full well that there's a chance they may not come home. And so on today, we remember all of those soldiers and those sailors and those Marines and those airmen and those Coast Guardsmen that didn't make it home, and their families that knew full well the risk but supported them 100% in what they were doing, and the soldiers and the military who knew full well what was happening and said, I'm here to defend the Constitution of the United States and to protect this country and protect my family and my friends and my brothers and sisters in arms because I believe in it. And there's nothing greater than that, and there's no country in the world greater than ours in what we do and the passion we have for this country. So thank you all for being here today, and thank you all for joining in this ceremony, and thanks for supporting the military and remembering those that didn't make it home. And a couple short months from now, we'll have the opportunity to remember those that did make it home and those that are still serving. So it's a great thing, and remember that day too, and we all do, and we do it well. So thank you, and have a wonderful day today, and take a moment to remember. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Mallon. Now we'll have a musical selection by Brian Costello of the Shannon Rovers. Brian. Now, if I could have the attention of our officers, please listen carefully, especially the Marines, because I'm speaking English and not your language. Would you please stand and march over to your monument and face the audience? Then when you hear your service song, please march back to your seat. Move out at your convenience. Come on, PFC. You are a Marine now. For now and forever. You will learn that shortly. Anyone else wishing to go to their monument of service? When you hear your service song, please march sharply back to your seat. U.S. Army. U.S. Air Force. U.S. Navy. now, with the newest Marine, United States Marine Corps. The U.S. Coast Guard. Thank you very much. Please be seated. And now we will have our wreaths laid in this order: Elmhurst American Legion, the VFW, and our mayor. First, the American Legion. Please lay your wreath. They will be accompanied by the auxiliary. The veterans of foreign war and their auxiliary. And our mayor, Steve Morley. Thank you. At this time, I would like to prepare you for a 2-cannon volley from the 2nd Kentucky. It's really loud, so if you have little ones here or you want to put your hands over your ears, you might want to do that. 2nd Kentucky, fire a 2-round volley. Takes a second to reload. Now it's time for me to invite Reverend Stanley Harding, Pastor Emeritus of the Emmanuel Lutheran Church for our closing prayer.
Let us give thanks to God for the beauty of this day that we are able to enjoy, that there are so many commemorated here who are not able to enjoy this day. We pray. Almighty God, this grateful nation pauses to give thanks to you for the lives that were sacrificed on so many fields, that we might enjoy the blessings of freedom and might be able to share those blessings with those around the world. Strengthen us in our commitment to always remember those who have given the full measure of sacrifice, who have laid down their lives for others. We praise you for their commitment to us and pray that we would be committed to them. Bless us, O God, as we go our various and separate ways. Strengthen us to always remember that we are not the ones who achieved this great land, but that it was provided to us and given to us by the sacrifice of so many. This we pray on this glorious day. In Jesus' name, amen. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
And now a musical selection by Men of Spiritos.
Watchfires of 100 circling camps, they have builded him an altar in the evening dews and damps. I can read his righteous sentence by the dim and flaring lamps. His day is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah, his truth is marching on.
songs. Now we retire the colors.
Color guard. In push. Wood. Forward.
Please stand. Please be seated for just a couple more seconds. First of all, I'd like to thank the Park District, Jimmy Rogers. Crew did a fantastic job as usual in getting the park squared away for our ceremony. I'd like to thank Phillips Flowers. They dropped off some roses here for anyone that wants to take one home in remembrance of someone or a loved one. I'd like to again thank all of you for being here and supporting our program and our parade. I do have one question since I wasn't around then, but Ralph, John, 100 years ago, since the American Legion wasn't formed yet, who helped you with this program? Who helped you?
We did it all on our own, Bill.
Okay. Well, anyway, this is our 100th year. I'm sure they've said that a couple times in the program. I would like to mention that there's lunch at the American Legion right after the ceremony. You're all invited. I think we have a birthday cake for the parade and the ceremony. And I'd like to remind everybody that next year, the Elmhurst American Legion THB Post 187 will celebrate its 100th year serving our community. Let's have a round of applause for that. My final announcement is our third military ball. Again, our chairman is Mark Mallon. Will be on November the 3rd, 2018. We've had two great events, and we're looking forward to a third. Thank you again for being here. As I leave, the program is over.
Starting this fall, the City of Elmhurst will begin a citywide water meter changeout project requiring all residential and commercial water meters to be replaced. This project is needed because the majority of the city's meters are over 25 years old and have exceeded their life expectancy. The city has experienced many years of 18 to 20% of unaccounted for water. The city has hired Siemens as contractors to replace all water meters with highly accurate, non-moving part mechanical water meters that will aid in detecting leaks. The new water meters have the ability to provide on-demand reads as well as leak and tampering alerts and early identification of leaks before they surface. A customer portal will also be available for residents to electronically monitor for leaks and manage their water consumption online. Elmhurst water customers can expect to receive an introductory letter with project information. Project updates will regularly be posted on the city's website and social media pages. Residents are also encouraged to attend informational open house events that will be scheduled at City Hall. The water meter changeout project is expected to occur through spring of 2018 and is mandatory for all residents and businesses. The project will be completed in sections throughout the city. When Siemens is approaching a neighborhood, residents in the area will be sent a series of postcards requesting to schedule an appointment. Residents are asked to be responsive and schedule an appointment once this notification is received. The new water meter will be installed at no additional cost. Residents will be expected to have an adult over the age of 18 years old home at the time of appointment, which should take no more than 30 minutes to complete. Residents should attempt to locate their water meter in advance and ensure the meter is accessible for Siemens at the time of the appointment. On the date of the water meter changeout, the resident should take precautions and look for the logo on the installer's uniform and vehicle and make sure the installer's ID is visible before allowing the installer to enter the home. All of Siemens installers will be identified with an ID badge and will be driving marked vehicles. They will also be wearing project shirts with the project logo. Once the installer enters the home, residents will be asked to guide the installer to the location of the water meter. The installer will take the following steps to complete the water meter changeout. First, the installer will turn the water off at the main valve. Then the installer will exchange the old meter with the new meter. The installer will then turn the water back on, confirm proper flow direction, and inspect the installation to make sure no leaks are visible. The installer will connect the communication wire to the new meter and test to make sure a meter reading can be obtained. Finally, the installer will ensure that the work area is clean around the new water meter before leaving. During the installation process, the installer will take pictures of the old and new water meter. Once the water meter installation is complete, the installer will give the resident information on how to read the new meter and gain access to an online program called WaterSmart. WaterSmart is an online portal where residents can view account information, monitor daily water consumption, detect leaks, and set up notification alerts. The installer will also give the resident information on how to complete a customer service survey. Once the water meter is replaced, residents will receive a bill that will look the same as previous bills, but will include any remaining water use on the old meter, along with any cumulative use on the new meter. All subsequent bills will only include use from the new meter. A noticeable difference in the new bill will include uses registered in gallons versus cubic meters. Any billing questions should be directed to the city's utility billing department by calling 630-530-3111. The City of Elmhurst would like to thank all water customers for their cooperation during this important city project. Please visit www.elmhurst.org/water-meter-changeout for more information and to find out what area Siemens is currently working in. For questions on the installation process, please contact Siemens at 866-260-3176.